Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Frozen North, your source for the best adventures and RPGs that video games have to offer. My name is JJ, and I'm here alongside my two co-hosts, Mark.
Howdy, y'all.
And Brian.
Master Vigimo game player.
All right, we are here for episode 3. We have completed the trifecta officially.
The hat trick, as you might say.
As it were.
As it were.
Yes, indeed.
All right, cool. We got some good feedback from people. Got a review on iTunes, which is pretty sweet. Definitely appreciate those, and those of you that are thinking about doing it, please do so. Let us know whether it's good, bad, whatever. We want to know. We want to know how we're doing, and we want to know what we can do to be better.
Yeah, we all got real thick skin, except for Mark. He cries, but
That's
it's
true.
okay.
But we're here for him.
Yeah,
so
we help.
that's all good. All right, well, let's just jump right into it. What you guys been playing, Brian?
I am still into Skyrim. Ah, man, if that game has a propensity for sucking me in, then I don't know what... I was going to just start my guy, and now I'm level 30, and now I've got like 40 quests.
You know what I think is ridiculous?
Yeah, what's up?
How in episode 1 you made this big old speech about how you were taking the journey.
I am still on that journey. In fact, I got
How far are you?
I got like an hour or two in on Chrono Trigger. I made a little progress, but then I was like, wait a minute, I have to finish this quest in Skyrim, and then I'd go back down, and then 4 hours go by. It's
Well, no. Let's review how the journey started out. It started out with I'm gonna play through 1 through the last of Final Fantasy, every single one all the way through, and then you finish the first one, and then you're all like, hey, I'm going to add in a new game every now and then. Are you adding 2 new games now?
No, you know who you can blame for this? You can blame Gabe Newell and that damn Steam, all right? Because they had that summer sale, and I'm like,
powerful force.
You bought Skyrim on the summer sale?
No, actually, I bought the DLC on for dirt cheap, and I'm like, now I have to play the game again and beat Dawnguard and beat Dragonborn.
Dragonborn looks awesome.
Yeah, so,
right,
it is what it is. Like I said, as soon as I get through, I was just starting out Skyrim, and then it sucked me in, and now I'm level 30, and now I'm looking to just destroy everybody. So whatever.
That pretty much taking up all your time?
Pretty much. It's the only game I've been really putting time into right now.
Nice.
Just trying to get done with it.
Very cool. Mark?
I'm also playing Skyrim right now.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
I downloaded a lot of custom mods that make the game incredible, and I'm level 31, Brian. So...
You are a liar, sir. I have done all that you just said, and I am halfway to 31. So you're just trying to one-upsmanship me, and I don't appreciate it, Mark.
And I've also been playing The Last of Us.
Ah, very cool.
Did you beat it?
Yes.
Oh man, we'll talk about that when we review it this week. I just want to make a note though to all of you out there who are listening. We're all playing Skyrim on PCs, which is the only way to do it.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah,
because mods and stuff.
Oh god, mods. I've got about 14 mods going, and they don't affect the game other than just adding to it.
Yeah, it's great. So is that pretty much it? Just those 2?
Yep.
Very cool. I have been playing quite a few. I finished the first Mass Effect. Pretty short game, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was good. Again, another one that we'll review today. But I also I posted on the Facebook page that Earthbound just came out on the Wii U Virtual Console. Oh man, I've been reliving that dream for about a week now, and it's just as good as I remember. I absolutely love it. I mean, I can't say enough good things about it. You're not going to find, the most deep, compelling story in there or anything like that, but it's just one of those games that's just fun. It's quirky, it's cute, it's just a good time. It really just, you get involved and you just play it and you just have a blast. So, if any of you have a Wii U out there, all 12 of you, please definitely pick it up. It's a little steep, I think, but I think Nintendo did it on purpose just to, bring in a little extra cash, which makes sense, and I think Earthbound fans are willing to play it. It's $10, which is, quite a bit for a Super Nintendo game, but it's still, I think it's worth it because I played it before and I loved it. All right, cool. Well, with that, we will get into our first review. Mass Effect 1.
Hey, all right.
We are going to, real quick, we changed up our formatting a little bit on how we do reviews. We're just going to, instead of going, bit by bit, because obviously we don't just review new games, we review games that have been out for a while. We're going to do both pros and cons, and then just whether we recommend it or not. We're not going to go through graphics and all that stuff.
Right, it's a plus-minus system. I know a lot of reviewers out there have gone to that. So it's just like, here's what's good, here's what's bad.
Yep.
Do we like it?
Exactly.
Easy to follow.
So for me, I'll go over my pros first. Number one, I mean, the story, hands down. The world is so fantastic. The universe, I guess I should say, because it's
the galaxy.
Yeah, it's just so massive. You go all over the place. You go to different planets. There's the whole concept of the Reapers, which you talked about,
the looming threat.
Your top 5 last week. Man, I really, really got involved with it, and I loved the whole concept of everything in there, and I really can't wait to play the other two. And I also liked how the choices that you make in the game will affect, the rest of the game and what you do. Like, it has such a heavy influence on it. It's not like, do you want to have a red shirt or a green shirt? It's like, do you want this character to die or do you want this character to die?
Right, substantial.
It's really substantial, and like you said, I guess it carries over in the next couple of games.
The choices only get it's like I said, that's a jumping off point for BioWare, and so number 2 and 3 they should improve on that choice system, and it gets way more deep than you can ever imagine.
Yeah, I can't wait to jump in eventually. So what do you guys like about it?
I really enjoy the plot in that game. When you first get to the Presidium, to that whole, what do you call that space station?
The Citadel.
The Citadel, when it opens up and you can do all kinds of missions for all kinds of different people and tackle it from any direction. I really like that. And I like the depth of customizing your character or stuff like that. And the morality system, getting to role-play your character, kind of, making decisions that you think fit into your character's mentality.
Yeah, you can play it as like a good guy or a renegade type.
Right. Well, for me, my pros, JJ kind of hit it on the head. The world building, the way they built the world, feels really organic. It's not just like, here is a planet, and it feels like the galaxy has been spinning for billions of years, and you're just kind of like in it. All these alien cultures are there, and they have all this backstory to it. Just that alone makes the game amazing. The story, the music as well as it would be a pro. It's got that sci-fi vibe to it. And I love games where you can just travel to new places and be like, oh wow, this is completely change of scenery.
Whenever you want to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, your freedom is basically just go wherever you want. Here's the points you can go to, fly wherever you want, do whatever you want, do the missions in any order you want. I liked it. Those are my pros.
Great. Cool. The funny thing is, and I know I was telling you guys about this earlier, but right when I beat it, I posted it to the Facebook page that I beat it, and I messaged Brian right away because I know he's such a big fan, and I mean, he didn't even miss a beat. The first thing he did was like, let's go get something to eat and talk about it. So we went, we were there for like an hour and a half or so, just talking about the series and that kind of stuff, and I mean, he kind of just made me even more excited for the next couple of games, but I did address some of my concerns with him there.
Very valid concerns.
And he reassured me that these are addressed in the next couple of games, at least some of them. But as far as cons go, my number 1 and number 2 cons, I guess, could probably be lumped together. Don't chastise me for this. Just listen to what I have to say. I thought there was very, very little character development unless you went out of your way to find it on your own. Like if you went and talked to each of those characters individually, after every mission and stuff like that, there really wasn't. Same thing with the codex. There was a lot of information in there, which I think is awesome, but I think that should be used as a review system. I think the character development and all the information in the codex would be better fitted to be integrated into the actual main story.
Yeah, agreed.
I think that's how it should be. It should just unfold, gradually and not be something that you're like, well, I wonder how this character's doing, and then you go talk to them. Because if I don't feel like talking to one of them, I'm not going to.
There's a lot you can miss if you're not seeking it out.
Correct.
Right. And I just think that BioWare maybe should have done something to address, because I get why they put it in there. It's a choice. Do you want to know? I mean, there are some gamers. I have friends who just skip cutscenes and just want to play the meat of the game. They don't care about all that stuff. So I see why they did that. Like, hey, you don't have to learn about this, but they didn't also make it apparent that this is how you learn about it. Like, if you are interested, it's just like it's there for you if you know how to find it. Yep. And you just gotta take the time, I guess.
Yeah, I would much rather just, like in the case of the Codex, have, I'm playing through a scene and they explain something to me, and then, I come back to it 5 hours later and I'm like, I remember them mentioning that, but I don't remember the specific details of it. And then I go, look at it in the Codex because I want to review it, not because I'm like, I want to go find out the history, so I have to go to this other menu to read about it. I'm sure there are people who disagree with me on that, and that's fine. But I just feel like putting all that into the actual story is just a better move, in my opinion.
Right on.
The other two cons that I have are kind of just small little things, and the first one Brian definitely told me they addressed was the inventory system. Yeah.
I have to
it's a
refresh my
mess.
memory.
It was an absolute mess. There really wasn't one. It just kind of like
Yeah.
you pick up stuff, and then eventually it tells you that you have almost too many items. So that's when you need to start, getting rid of them or selling them or whatever. I just wasn't a big fan of it. There was no way to sort when you were equiping people.
Yeah,
so you had to literally look through everything. Yeah,
it was very bad.
Wasn't a fan. But you said they do fix that in the other two.
Oh yeah, like I said, one of my cons about the game was I don't think they knew what they wanted out of it, if that makes sense. Did they want it to be full-fleshed RPG, or did they want it to be a third-person shooter? I feel like they kind of towed that line, which that you can't really toe that line.
Yeah.
At some point you're like, oh, this is a third-person shooter, and then you're like, well, wait, why am I managing an inventory system so horribly?
Yep.
Why do I have a billion guns? I just ended up turning most of the stuff into Metagel, or whatever it's called, Omnigel.
Yeah.
It seemed like it was just they didn't know which way they wanted to go, and then like I said in the other games, they go, okay, here's the way we're going to go. Deal with it. I know people got up in arms about that in the second and third games, but BioWare finally chose what kind of direction they wanted to go, and they picked instead of just, here, we're going to kind of give you a little bit of both.
And they should. That just gives it a little more definition.
Absolutely.
For sure.
I agree.
And then my last one, this is only, I don't know how it is on other systems. I played it on PS3. There were quite a few frame rate issues.
Yeah, that's same with Xbox.
Okay. There was a lot of blinking going on and some stuttering and stuff. I mean, it wasn't like massive to where it ruined the game for me, but it was definitely noticeable.
Mm-hmm.
I would assume that's fixed.
Hopefully. I had none of those problems on the computer. I have them all on the computer, but I've heard. I mean, there's technical issues on the computer too. Like they have a dynamic shadows that you can turn on in the computer. Your heads are like 4 times the size they should be. I mean, it was the first game in the series. I give them a pass on that. It was still a beautiful game. Just there were some technical hiccups. Absolutely.
Yeah, like I said, it didn't ruin it by any means for me. It's just it was noticeable, and that was all. So, I mean, you guys have any other cons to add?
Yeah, my cons are like the exact opposite of what I just mentioned as my pros. I mentioned I like the morality system, but I really don't like how it's completely polar. There's evil and good, and that's it. And if you don't choose one side and stick to it, you're kind of ruining your character.
Yeah, you lose dialogue options if you don't pick good or bad,
true.
and so you're kind of in the middle. So you have those like, okay, stay neutral, but then you don't have advantages for that.
Yeah.
I also didn't like after you're done with the Citadel, the game really kind of collapses down into more of a linear game, other than the obvious side quests you can go on. And obviously, Mako.
Yeah, no one likes Mako.
Driving around on the planet and avoiding rockets.
No thanks.
Yeah,
without a save option.
Those are tough to get through.
Yeah, pretty ridiculous. Brian, anything else?
No, I think we addressed the cons. All of us together kind of summed it up. All my cons, just I didn't like that they didn't know the direction they wanted to take the game in. I didn't like the Mako missions. Other than that, though, I mean, like I said, this is the most revered game collection. Like the Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 combined are like they're my number one. So it's hard for me to. I have a little bit of a bias, so I might be looking through a bit of rose-colored glasses at it, but those are really the cons I can drudge up there. And so,
question: how do you feel about Dragon Age?
I love
it.
Drive. Absolutely
Worth checking out.
Definitely.
If you're a fan of, here's how I describe it: it's Mass Effect, but more in the Dungeons and Dragons. So
that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it's BioWare. I mean, same dialogue tree, same choice factor, same non-linear mission structure. It's basically it's Mass Effect, but medieval.
Absolutely. So overall, do you guys recommend Mass Effect 1?
Absolutely.
Yep, I agree.
100%. Yeah, it's a great. It's got its hiccups, but if you're going to play the Mass Effect series, you got to start with 1, and you won't be disappointed.
Definitely.
At all.
And I'm a guy who's not big into the futuristic sci-fi, setting, especially when it comes to, RPGs. But it was great. I had an absolute blast with it. And like I said, I can't wait to get into the second one.
Awesome.
So, all right, next game that we're reviewing is The Last of Us.
Yes.
I would probably, just right off the bat, I would probably go so far as to say that this is probably my game of the year for 2013. I think. I absolutely thought it was fantastic.
At the end of the year, I'll have to really sit down and think about BioShock Infinite and The Last of Us, but yeah, I mean...
I haven't played BioShock Infinite. So.
It's another game where these two, the BioShock Infinite and Last of Us, are two games that have really made me excited about the medium that I love best, which is video games.
Yep.
I'm starting to see where it's going to head, and it's starting to tackle more heady issues. It's not just like bro games. There's actual. So yeah, Last of Us and BioShock Infinite, I'll have to kind of
definitely
weigh my. But yeah,
They're both kind of like the evolution of what Valve accomplished with Alex.
Yeah.
Which is the companion from Half-Life 2.
Yes. Making an escort mission not feel like an escort mission, basically.
Right.
I gotcha. Yeah. Ugh. I hate those in MMOs.
Oh, God, yeah. No one in the history of gaming likes, oh, man, I love escort missions.
Nope.
You're like, no, you don't, man. They're horrible. And so this is kind of like hey, we're going to fix this whole escort mission problem.
Amen. All right, so we'll go with, right off the bat, we'll go with the pros. Mine, obviously the story, characters, plot, it's spectacular. Hands down, one of the best I've seen in a long time. Just such strong storytelling, and the characters are so defined and well written. Like, I've never played any of the Uncharted series, but, if it's the same
production value, it's Naughty Dog, man. They don't really go. Oh God, yeah.
Because just because of this, I may have to go check.
No,
it out.
Uncharted 2 was written by the same guy who did The Last of Us, and that's what Uncharted 2 is the most revered Uncharted game.
Really?
For that reason, he's an amazing writer. Story structures are very similar. It's different. It's not a dark game. It's an Indiana Jones knock, homage. So it's going to be a little bit more goofy, but still, production values of the Uncharted series are just like The Last of Us.
Cool. Yeah, I'll probably definitely check it out just because of this. Yeah,
you
can't say enough good things about the story.
Yeah.
Also, I once I beat it, I didn't feel like it was. I knew it was over, but I wanted to talk about it. Like no other. That ending was unbelievable. I know right when I beat it, first thing I did was I posted it up there, and I was like, oh my gosh, when I got with you, and I was like, I kind of understand your little jerky speech that you made back in episode 1.
Hard to keep that spoiler free.
Yeah. And Mark, as soon as he beat it, the first thing he did was contact me. It's just, I love games that make you think, and this one does it in spades at the end. Anybody who's beaten it knows, it just blew my mind. I was like, it's a good ending, but it's not a good ending. It just depends on how you look at it.
And this is where I compare it to BioShock Infinite. So I know you haven't played it yet, but it's one of the two games this year that have made me sit at my computer while the credits are going, and instead of going to grab a drink or doing something else, I sat there kind of staring off into space, just processing what just happened.
Yeah.
And connecting dots, and I love that about those two games.
Yep. I also, just as a little side note, I have a theory, and I know I've told both of you guys, but I have a theory on the ending that if one thing had been changed, I think it would have ended differently. If you're looking at it from a realistic perspective. I'm not going to spoil anything on the show. If you're curious, though, shoot me an email or hit me up on Facebook, and I'll let you know.
Yeah, he wants to talk about it.
Because I totally do, man.
He does.
I got to the end, and I was just like, oh, good, yeah.
They could have just done one thing.
Man, it's so great. And the last pro that I have is the setting, the environments, and what you go through, where you go.
Yeah.
Gorgeous and scary. It was just awesome. I can't say enough good things about the game. It's great. You guys have any pros to add?
Absolutely. I really enjoyed the gameplay when it worked the way I thought it should, which was not all the time, but when it was working that way, it was awesome. I loved the concept of scavenging for supplies, just like basic stuff, scissors, nails, whatever else I'm not forgetting, and making your own weapons.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Even though I was always out of ammo for my guns, I always had other things at my disposal, usually, that I could use to help out a little bit, which was awesome.
Yeah, there was no clear-cut way to get through any area. You could, choose to go through stealthy, or you could choose to go in there guns blazing, with what little ammo you had.
Yeah.
I love that about it.
Also had amazing voice acting and really good music.
Yes, definitely.
I honestly say I think we've covered the pros. They're all mine. The story, the graphics, for the PlayStation 3. Whew, I was like, They pushed that system pretty tough, and there really weren't that many performance tips I didn't see or I don't remember. So those are my pros as well.
I will say, it doesn't happen to me too often when I play video games, but the emotional concept of everything, I'll tell you what, the beginning, the first 15, 20 minutes of the game, I started to tear up a little bit.
Was something special
after that intro.
When a game's going to be heavy when that first 15 minutes you're going, oh god.
Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't stop. It just keeps grabbing you the entire game. It's great. So as far as cons go, let's see. Yeah, I only had two, and honestly, I had a hard time thinking of them. One, the combat was, again, I know I mentioned this before. I'm not a big fan of those third-person shooter-type games where you've got your character on the screen in the lower left-hand corner or whatever.
Agreed.
Just because, walking forward means you're also walking at sort of an angle, and it's just awkward to me. You got used to it, obviously, but just the combat and controls and stuff were, both of them actually, they're just hard to master. They're easy. It's one of those things, easy to learn, hard to master. So, and there were a lot of points in the game where you could really, really, shoot yourself in the foot, not literally, but because you weren't ready for it, things were just going to come at you, like those clickers. Man, there were so many times that I was just ready to throw my controller because I couldn't,
what are you going to do, right?
And stuff. So, do you guys have any cons?
Yeah, I have some cons.
Go ahead, Mark. Go ahead.
Like I said, I like the gameplay when it works.
Mm-hmm.
I really suck at stealth on console games. When I have a keyboard and mouse, I feel like I'm in control of the character, but third person with a joystick just doesn't work for me. So, that being said, when you were forced to do stealth segments of the game in confined spaces, that was miserable. It was terrible.
Yeah.
When you had a little more space, like that, this isn't a spoiler, the tunnel at the end of the game,
mm-hmm.
When you had more space, it was a lot better. But when you were really confined, it sucked.
I agree.
I have a hard time picking cons for this game. I didn't mind the gameplay at all. I got through it pretty smoothly. I only played it on normal, so it didn't challenge me that much. I liked the stealth in the game. I kind of see what Mark's saying, but because some of those tight spaces were really kind of frustrating. But I looked at that as kind of like that's how it was intended. Like you're supposed to feel kind of tense. Like, God, I don't like. You're not supposed to like it. You're not supposed to be like, this is rewarding. You're supposed to be like, oh my God, I don't want to be here right now. I do not want to be in this room with these 7 clickers. Like you want to feel that, and that's, I guess, one of the cons to the game is, God, every now and then I needed to break from feeling so tense the whole time. You're just like, and then they did a good job of pacing it, but there were certain sections where I was just like, pause the game, like, okay, take a breath, all right, go back into it.
I think that's what he's saying though. Is like he's a lot more used to and a lot more comfortable on the PC, and that's why it was tougher.
I can give it a valid con. I get it, but for me the biggest con for me was there were some issues with pulling me out of the immersion and I get why they did it, but they had to. Mm-hmm. But when a guy's walking right around the corner and then Ellie's just standing there and he just doesn't see her, you give it a pass, but you're like, oh man, that just takes me out because or he walks right past her. She's clearly right there.
Yeah.
But I know why they did it because it's not an escort mission, so you don't want it to be like, you don't want to be pissed at the AI. But at the same time, when she jumps over a table and he's standing right there and runs towards you, you're just like, thank God you have stealth potion. Like that was my biggest con was like every now and then it took me out of the immersion when, I got it worked with the clickers because they can't see anyway. So you're like, oh, maybe they didn't hear her, but when it's a human character and she just runs right through, like runs right past him and he's kind of like, I know you're in there somewhere. You're going, all right.
So in summary, Mark doesn't like the stealthy parts and Brian's advice is to use a stealth potion. All right.
You have to craft it.
I have to also throw in I didn't like the way saving worked in the game. It was just really wonky. Like, you couldn't save the exact state you were in the game. You kind of save, and it just has you at a checkpoint.
Yeah, checkpoint save system.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I couldn't kill a couple of clickers and then save my progress, so I feel like I'm not going to lose everything the second I make a mistake.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to address that because I call that, and this is not a knock on anybody, I call that save cheating. So
That's my favorite.
Well, when I play games, and like in Skyrim, I have a rule. Skyrim auto saves, but this is what I hate about it is I like there to be a penalty for me dying. Like I like not a huge penalty. I know JG had a 2-hour loss in game in Mass Effect, but
talk about it.
I like to have I died, now I have to do that part again. So it's an incentive. It gives me a artificial sense of like tensity. Like I don't want to die, and
I agree to a certain extent, but I mean, if that option is there, why not? Yeah, why not just have the option there? If you don't want to do it, if you want to, have it.
Sure, give it a choice.
Then
Yeah, it makes sense.
Don't save it at that point,
right?
Because I kind of agree with Mark on this. I hate going through an area, getting to the very end, and then dying and having to go back and play the entire area again. Well, obviously, my track record with Mass Effect has proven that I don't save very often, anyways.
Right.
So, but overall, I think it's.
I see it.
It's pretty obvious whether we recommend this game or not. I say definitely.
I say wait for a price drop and then definitely.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and go opposite of Mark, and I say if you don't own a PS3, this is a reason to own one. This kind of game. It'll show you what kind of developer Naughty Dog is. Like JJ said, you'll want to play their other IPs, but this is a system buyer type game where you don't want to miss this game. You don't want to miss out playing this game. It is that kind of game where it's like you got to play it. You have to.
I would, and I don't want to encourage this because I definitely say, if you have the opportunity to buy this game, definitely do it. If you own a PS3, get it for sure. But I don't know that I agree that it's a system seller
or borrow a system.
It's such a story-driven game. You could literally watch all the cutscenes on YouTube or something like that, and you'll have the entire game right there.
Yeah, I agree to an extent, but playing it, feeling that sense of dread and all that—that's kind of where I'm getting at. Like they did a really good job of.
Yeah, but I just talked about how I, don't like the controls very much and stuff.
Yeah,
so
true. All right, I get it.
I mean, I'm just saying, if you own a PS3, don't miss out. For real.
Sure.
Check it out. Because, regardless of, what we're saying here, it's a great game. It really is.
Okay.
It's incredible. And, you know what? As long as you don't have a tendency to throw controllers, it's definitely it's definitely a buy.
You don't want to go through all those DualShock 3s, though.
Touche. All right. Well, with that, we will go ahead and move on to our top 5. Apparently, I did not edit the info from the last one, but our top 5 this week is our top 5 cooperative games.
Oh, it says video game villains here.
Yeah, I know. That was last week.
Typo.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for pointing that out.
You're welcome.
Why don't you talk about what a co-op? Like, what do you mean by co-op?
Co-op meaning like you play through the story of the game. With more than one person. Okay. With somebody, multiple people, whatever.
Right on.
Mark, how about we start with you today? What's your number 5?
My number 5 is the same as Brian's number 3, so we'll talk about it then.
Sounds good.
All right, Brian, your number 5?
My number 5 is actually a very old Super Nintendo game called Smash TV. Premise of that was there's two guys that were, I don't know if they were captured or what have you, by a TV corporation, and they were going to broadcast basically like a live, death match. So you and like a partner got together and basically just went at guys would just flood the screen, and you're just like shooting, and there's power ups to come on, and my brother would be like, I'll get the top and the left, and then I'll be like, I'll get the bottom and the right. Really the first game I ever played that really took cooperation to get through, and it was just a blast to play.
Isn't it one of those games where there's no end? It's you just go as far as you can.
No, there's an end. There's boss battles, and,
there is?
and yeah, absolutely. It's just, but it's very bare bones. Like the rooms all look the same, and these guys keep coming out, get a little harder. I mean, there'd be like a big fat. I can't. It's been so long since I played it, but there's like a big old fat boss comes in, and you're shooting them, and go check it out. That's my recommendation.
Well, I know I have it on one of my
Virtual console.
Sega's greatest hits or something that on my PS2.
It was a fun co-op game for sure.
All right, my number 5 is a GameCube game of all things. I know it wasn't the most popular system, but I absolutely love this game. I had a group every Friday night who would get together and play it. We did it for probably about 5 or 6 weeks, and it was an absolute blast. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. The cool thing about this game is, like, if you listen to episode 1 where I talk about Secret of Mana, I talked about how one of the drawbacks was, you had a co-op 3-person game where everybody's on screen doing their stuff, but anytime you wanted to use a spell or something like that, you had to, that one person would literally pause the game for everybody else so that they could pick it from their menu, which was annoying. Crystal Chronicles was kind of the same gameplay in that you've got, up to 4 people on the screen, but you use Game Boys as the actual controller, and all of your menus, all of your items, spells and abilities are all done right there on your Game Boy screen, which was, it was so cool. The only drawback is that everybody had to have a Game Boy, everybody had to have a connector cable, so it got kind of expensive if you really wanted to have the full experience with it. I got lucky because I had 3 friends who had, all that stuff, so like I said, 5-6 weeks straight, we just blew through it and it was a blast. The only other problem with it was one person had to be the chalice carrier, and if anybody's played the game, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You literally have to stay within this ring of fog. And
I do remember that game.
You have to the open area, because if you go outside of this ring, you go into the fog, and then you start taking damage or you die. The person who has the chalice and walks around with it basically keeps the ring active, and so you have to stay inside of that. And so one person has to carry it and move along the level with you, and you have to stay inside that.
That sounds pretty frustrating.
It is, especially if you're that person.
Was that just a way to solve the camera issue for
I
the
would
game?
imagine so. Yeah, probably, because you can't have 2 people go off screen, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Other than that, though, if you've got everything, it's an absolute blast. I had a great time with it, and I really I'd love to see more stuff like that, especially with the Wii U. If they have a game like that eventually, where you've got multiple game pads. I think the potential for that
that would be amazing.
Absolutely spectacular. Even if they did it, over the internet and just did multiplayer games that way, it'd be an absolute blast. So that's my number 5, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. Mark, yours and my number 4 is the same.
Excellent.
We have the Halo series.
Yes, of course.
I know we haven't talked much about Halo. It is a great game, yes, but it's more. It's definitely an FPS.
Yeah.
The only reason that I put it on here is because I have an absolute blast with
there's an
Halo.
old saying, if you're doing everything right, nobody will even notice. And that's how I feel about this game. Mm-hmm. When it comes to how co-op worked, not everything else.
No, I agree.
It was just painless. Your friends drop in, you play the game, you work together. It's awesome.
Yep. And it's I don't know. The first one didn't have co-op, did it?
I think it did.
It had local co-op.
Yeah, but I think
screen.
Well, I think my problem with the Halo series co-op was with what you guys were saying was they didn't really address the so it's hey, there's a second Master Chief running around, but let's not address him at all. He's just he's invisible. What that was my only problem with it.
For me, the Halo games weren't necessarily about the plot. There's an incredible plot there, but they don't deliver it very well. So you don't really understand what's happening at all, unless you read the extra lore or kind of piece it together afterwards.
I agree.
So for me, it was more about just how the game plays and how it feels, and I thought it was awesome co-op for that reason.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can see that.
Brian.
Okay, guys, my number 4 is actually the Borderlands series. What's not to say about this series? That's
which is also my number 1.
Yeah, so why don't we... you know what, I'll wait. Since we're going to wait to do the Gauntlets one, I'll go ahead and wait to talk about Borderlands until we get to Mark's number 1, because I do got some opinions about it. So why don't we move on to the number 3s, which, you know what, we'll just start with my 3, since Mark and I both have it.
Do it.
The Gauntlet series. I did the whole series. I only played a few of them, but I didn't want to list them all. God, I remember getting that game for the 64, specifically Gauntlet Legends, and a couple of our friends, and then me and my brothers would just play for hours, leveling up our characters, competing against who's the better character. I don't remember much about the plot. I don't remember much. We didn't really.
Were supposed to fight a dragon or something.
Yeah, we didn't really play it for the plot, but it was just such an intuitive. I mean, it was you could play it by yourself, but it was built to play with four people.
Being able to like make your own character grow and level up and all that stuff is great when you're doing it with somebody.
Oh yeah,
there.
absolutely.
I feel like Castle Crashers really dialed into that. The thing that they accomplished with Gauntlet Legends, which is you're working together, but you're also kind of competing for gold and treasure. And
you have a similar goal, but you're not at the same time. They're throwing in a little wrinkle, like, oh hey, here's who did the best in this level. So you're constantly trying to so like somebody can say, hey, my back hurts. I've been carrying you all level. Taunts like that were always fun. That's what makes a good co-op game to me.
For sure.
Why don't we go to JJ's number 3?
My number 3 is the same as Brian's number 1. So
yes,
we'll
address that. Yeah.
Again.
Yep.
My number 3 is Left 4 Dead 2, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with it.
Oh yeah,
great game.
This just comes back to what I just said about Halo, which is that it's a game that works flawlessly. You can find your friends playing, drop into their game. It's completely effortless. If you die, your friends can eventually find you locked in a closet or something. They can come and let you out.
The only problem I have with Left 4 Dead 2 is I know I played it with you and your brother.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what your brother did to me at the very end and cost me the achievement?
He left without you?
We did the farmhouse level, and we make it through, and I'm stuck by the front gate. And I'm getting attacked by all these guys, and I mean we lived together at the time, and Mark runs out, makes it there, and John, who's Mark's brother. I literally like, because I was in my room and I hear him in the living room. He literally goes, "Sorry, man, every man for himself," and he just runs, and I'm like, "What?" And I didn't get the achievement, and I had to replay it later on.
Pretty classy.
I was actually pretty pissed off.
Oh, I would be too.
Man, I was like, "How dare you? How can you leave me?"
It looks like a lot of zombies. I'm gonna go see you later.
I do have to apologize, JJ, for throwing that Molotov cocktail down the stairs at you by accident.
Yep. Yeah, actually, well, both of us were there, him and I.
Yeah,
Mark
that's true.
John and I were coming up the stairs, and Mark's up above. He's like, "Oh, bad guys.
Zombies, burn them. Ah!"
Just the whole entire stairway just lights on fire, and we're like, "What are you doing?" Oh, man. Good times, though. It's a great game. Not the most compelling story in the world, but...
Nah, it's not built to be a story game. It's
just an absolute blast. I'd love to play through that again sometime.
I feel like if a game can make you hate your friends, then it's a successful co-op game.
I have been wanting for the longest time to go through Left 4 Dead 1 and 2 and play the story missions just in a group of 4. I think that would be a blast.
Have you not done it before?
I've done it, but only with 2 people. It's, me and another person. I want to do it with 4 people and just get in a room and just LAN party it up and go through it.
We did that with actually both of them, Left 4 Dead 1 and 2.
Yeah, I want to go through all of them. I want to go through 1 and then beat 1 and then go through 2.
If they come out with a third one, I'm sure we'll do the same thing.
Nice.
It's an absolute blast. Okay, cool. Number 2. Mark, you and I have the exact same one.
Oh, excellent.
Yep. The Diablo series.
Yeah.
I would say if I had to narrow it down, it would definitely be 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I haven't played much of the first one, just because you can't run in that game, so it's so slow. And I started with 2.
Sure.
So going back to that was tough.
I'm trying to remember. Was there co-op in the first one?
Yes, there was.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I like... 3 is decent, don't get me wrong, but I like 2 because... you don't have to be doing the same exact thing as the other people in the game.
Yeah.
You can be in the same game.
You can
get
coexist.
More experience,
yeah.
But you can be like in a different act doing different quests while another person's, in the same game in a different act doing their own quests.
Mm-hmm. Right. Coexisting.
The monsters get stronger the more people that are in the game, so you can get more experience and all this stuff while still, playing on your own. It really helps out. And it's nice to, it's nice to be able to play with your friends but not have to have them be like, "Oh, well, I have to do this quest later on, so I have to, run with you the whole time before I get there."
Mm-hmm.
So it's not, and it was like 8 people that could play it at the same time.
Yeah, it was pretty high.
Yeah, it was nice.
And I just loved, doing a dungeon run, coming back to town, and throwing all the stuff, all your loot on the ground, and letting your friends pick through it.
Yep.
It was all about the loot.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And who could forget making a low-level character just to go into the games that said duels and then waiting for somebody to die, picking up their money because you know they can't.
And then running.
And then running with it.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I didn't do that because that'd be terrible.
No, yeah, we're all stand-up gamers.
No, absolutely.
No griefing.
Nothing but fairness and no griefing, exactly. Brian, I gave you crap about your number 2.
Are you kind of seeing why I put it down now?
Nope.
Huh?
Nope, because
Okay.
I don't think there's any cooperation involved in this
Okay.
game at all. I think
all right.
people are
Well,
mean.
let me just elaborate on my number 2 before
Am I
I say
reading
it.
this right?
Before I say it,
Yep.
okay, you guys, this is the same company, all right? And I always thought that World of Warcraft, which is my number 2, borrowed everything it knew from Diablo, the Diablo series. It just expanded on it, right? So there's cooperation. The boss fights are more intuitive. Now, hear me out. My criteria for a cooperation game is when you have multiple people, it enhances the game. So when you have to like say, hey, you need to do this, you need to do this. I get that half the players, I would say 90% of the players in World of Warcraft are cooperatively challenged. Yeah, where we've all had those groups where it's like, what is this guy doing?
Yeah, it's called Warsong Gulch Alliance side.
Right. Well, what is he doing? Why is he doing that? But when it worked, and I started in vanilla. I think I got the game a week after it came out. I've been playing. Well, I recently quit, like most people have, about a year ago. But I had been playing that game for 8 years, and when the game worked, what?
I'm sorry.
What?
Hey, I'm still playing it.
Say it.
Once a week. We raid.
No, I'm just shocked that you've been playing it since the beginning.
No. When it worked, though, guys, honestly, people who've played it, it was like when it worked and everything flowed on like a boss encounter or in PvP,
Yeah.
It was the most rewarding feeling. You're like, oh my god, we got. I'm talking vanilla. We got 40 people in concert here to kill this guy.
I agree.
It was like the most amazing. When I still remember my first Ragnaros kill, it was like, what did we just do? What did we just do? Like 40 people just got together. We had the great ballet that was the dance around Ragnaros, and we killed them. That's kind of what put it up on my list. It's like that when I think of co-op games, I think of doing those old raids.
I do agree, and that's kind of the main reason that I was like, all right, and I kind of understand because I like I said, I've been playing since the game first came out as well, but I didn't start like raiding or playing with that many people until Lich King, which is the second expansion, and I mean I'm now in a guild since then where I'm really close with everybody. I they're really good friends of mine, and when we finally took down the Lich King, we just did 10-man. I mean, the feeling was amazing, just what we had accomplished and stuff, because we spent so long trying to get there and then finally did it. It really is a blast.
Sure.
If you're a part of a group where you're really tight-knit and you're working so hard to do something and it's taking weeks and weeks and weeks, and then you finally do it, regardless of what you're doing, it's going to be great. But the fact that, you're in this video game and you've done something that only a handful of people have done at that point.
Sure.
Obviously now it's long gone, but at that point, only a handful of people had done it. I mean, it really... I wish I had a recording of what our Ventrilo channel sounded like at the time.
Screaming.
We were just going nuts.
We had I think he was Korean. He was either Korean or Japanese when we killed Ragnaros, and he would take a subway to a cafe, an internet cafe, to raid with us. And so we had to go on his schedule. He had to get up at the time difference. And I remember him screaming at the top of his lungs when we killed Ragnaros, and then immediately getting on Ventrilo and saying, "Guys, I got kicked out. I have to go."
Oh no!
So I mean, just stuff like that sticks in my mind. Like he was so excited that in the middle of a busy internet cafe, I think it was Korea. I'm pretty sure. He jumped up, screamed. It hurt my ears, so I can only imagine everybody in the cafe, and then immediately going, "Guys, I have to go. I got kicked out." I mean, it was just one of those memories where you're just like, yeah, that was an accomplishment. We did it.
Cool.
Yep. All right, let's move on.
All right, so number 1. Brian, I'll let you go first since that was the same as my number 3.
Okay. Portal 2. You might be thinking, that's weird. That game I played by myself. Well, there's this whole other section they made for co-op. Me and my brother did it. We actually had an extremely easy time with it. He'd already done it before, prior, but it'd been long enough that he didn't really remember much about it. So it was like we were going through it from scratch, and just the amount of okay, you put the portal here, I'll put the portal here. You jump through it. As soon as you jump through it, I need you to put the new portal down, and I'll get through it. You know, just that whole work together was. I had not seen that in the game. I mean, like I said, it beat World of Warcraft out because that took a precise amount of teamwork that you would never be able to get out of World of Warcraft. You know, you're just like absolutely have to work together. Has to be timed right. Everything. It was brilliant.
The cool thing about it too is like a lot of co-op games out there will like I beat it with Mark's brother John. Right when the game came out, we hopped right on it. The cool thing in my opinion is like a lot of co-op games will, you know, they'll let you jump into the single player game and just play along with that. This literally is tailored for multiplayer, for 2 players. The whole entire thing just revolves around the 2, and the puzzles that you have to solve are made for 2 people. And it's a whole separate thing. So if you have not experienced it, please go check it out because it's incredible. I mean, I can't say enough good things about how well polished it is and just how. And it's funny too because the robots that you use are just goofy.
We high-fived each other after every time we did something good and just giggled.
Yeah, it's an absolute blast. Mark, we should play through it sometime.
Definitely.
It's a blast. Have you done it yet?
I haven't.
No? Oh, man.
I just played the single player and that was it.
We should definitely do it.
Yeah, it's great.
It's like I said, it's a totally separate game.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mark, you're number 1.
Which I think Brian had as his number 4.
That is correct.
Borderlands.
Yep,
Borderlands 2.
Yep.
Yep. Man, that is an awesome game. Have you played it yet, JJ?
I played the first one.
Yep.
Played the first one?
Yep.
I didn't play much of the first one, but I played all the way through Borderlands 2 and loved it. It's essentially an MMORPG like World of Warcraft or whatever, except it's pared down to support, is it 4 people maximum?
It's 4. Yeah.
4 people. It's got a lot of what Diablo had, where it's all about the loot.
It's basically a Diablo shooter is how I describe it.
Yeah, exactly. That's a perfect way to describe it.
There's definitely a lot of loot in there.
Yes.
Yeah, seeing it sparkle, it's great.
Mm-hmm.
You look for the different colored names.
Yeah, it actually plays exactly like a MMORPG. Looking for the exclamation point above someone's head.
Yeah. Yep.
It's very, very smooth, though.
Yeah.
The only thing I wasn't crazy about in the first one was the ending.
I feel like the ending in the second one worked.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened in the first one, but the
it
way you described
it wasn't bad. It just stopped. It was just not. It was very anticlimactic.
Well, you didn't play the DLC, did you?
No.
Because that basically built on it, and then you got the true ending after the last DLC of number 1, and then the same with number 2. The DLC kind of keeps going further forward, and then finally you get to the end.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, but I don't know if I can speak for Mark, but the reason this is on my list, Borderlands, is because you can play it by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's no big deal. You can solo it, but the game enhances so much when you have like a different class with you. My brother, I play most of the game co-ops. I play with my brother Kyle, and we got Borderlands 2 the day it came out. We started playing. He played as Zero. I played as Axton. And I played Axton that was like an up close personal guy. So he'd just stand back, snipe. And I just remember several times running in and being like, "Oh God, here comes a giant monster, berserker," and I am reloading at the moment, and then wham, his head exploded, and I'm like, "Thank God!" And Kyle would, I hear Kyle go, "Did you see that? That was the biggest crit I've ever seen," and I'm like, "That's what makes the game fun." It's like you guys are working in concert, and.
Yeah.
He's boom headshotting people when they're running at you and screaming about the numbers he saw. That's why it's on my list. It's just so much fun with another person.
And you go to some incredible places and just the feeling of exploring it with your friends.
And it's hilarious when you can laugh about some funny stuff. There's a scene in number 2. I'm not going to ruin it for JJ, but my brother and I probably laughed for about 10 minutes when we're escorting Claptrap, and he's going to go kill because Claptrap's pissed at Handsome Jack. He's going to go kill him, and Handsome Jack. There's an obstacle that Claptrap just can't get past, and I know my brother will know exactly what we're talking about. But when he screams it, and it's so it's just so goofy. We laughed forever at that part.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I can't wait to get into the second one.
Yeah,
so.
I'm gonna play a Psycho with you, buddy. We're gonna go through it.
All right. Well, my number 1 should come as no surprise. Hey, it's a SquareSoft game.
Oh,
whoa! What? Wait a minute.
I'm gonna keep it short and sweet though, because I've talked about this game before, especially in episode 1. The Secret of Mana. If you've got a regular Wii or a Wii U, buy it on the Virtual Console. I can't say enough good things about it. It's amazing. 3-person Zelda, basically, with experience points and magic.
Yeah.
That's. There's no other way to describe it. It's awesome. Music's great. Gameplay's great. Again, the only stipulation is the whole issue of when you have to use a spell or something, it pauses the game for everybody else, but it literally takes like 2 seconds to do, and once you get used to it, it's like whatever. But you have a blast just, running around, fighting stuff, getting experience, and leveling up, and the story's solid for, when it came out, and it's just a good time.
Yeah.
So...
Good choice.
We're definitely gonna have to do that one. A little
Yeah.
triple playthrough there.
I would
be a
love
fun.
to.
That would be a fun time.
For sure. All right, so that's our top 5 cooperative games for episode 3.
Let us know what you guys think. You can make fun of us. You can ridicule our choices, but yeah, we'd like to hear what you guys think about the co-op games.
Oh, show. So we actually have a couple of emails this time.
Whoa.
I know, right?
What?
Yeah.
Emails.
First one I didn't get a name or anything, and I don't want to say anybody's email address just because I don't want to get anybody spammed or anything like that. So, if you email us and you want us to throw your name out there, by all means let me know, and I'd be happy to do so. I don't want to give anybody any unwanted attention. But they asked, what sorts of podcasts do you guys listen to outside of your own? Mark, go ahead.
Basically just one for me right now. It's called Comedy Bang Bang. It's a comedy improv podcast. There's also a show on, I think it's IGF. I'm not sure. It's hilarious. It's Scott Aukerman, one of the writers of Mr. Show, and a few other things. And he just brings on various comedians who take on personas and kind of derail the show in every episode.
Very cool. Ryan?
There's a website called thegiantbomb.com. They have a lot of podcasts. The Giant Bombcast is what it's called. They do a lot of those.
One of their members just passed away,
yes,
didn't he?
Yep. I listen to that often, but I don't know if I generally... That's one I go back to a lot, but I'm a connoisseur of video game podcasts, so I'll search the internet for just topical podcasts.
I'm the same way.
And I'll be like, I'll just, if I'm doing something and I just want to listen to something, that's what I do. So I get a lot of that in, but the Giant Bomb has a lot of good ones. So I remember when I beat BioShock Infinite, I think I probably listened to maybe 30 different spoiler casts for that game, just because I wanted to hear people talk about it and to see if we had similar opinions. So that's kind of what I do.
Cool. There's quite a few that I actually listen to that I listen to regularly. 2 that I don't listen to anymore because I don't play Final Fantasy XI anymore. I used to be really heavy into that game, which is the online Final Fantasy. I used to listen to Limit Break Radio and Pet Food Alpha, which both just great personalities, really, really well done. And I think Pet Food Alpha is still going strong. They're on episode 350 something, I think. And Limit Break Radio I don't think is around anymore, but they were the ones that got me hooked on podcasting in general. They were so great and so detailed. Currently, I'm listening to 3. The first one I'm listening to for a while is, I think I mentioned it on the last episode, RPG Cast from rpgamer.com. Literally, if you want news about RPGs, there is, in my opinion, there's no better place. They will literally, scour the ends of the internet for,
little tidbits,
brand new stuff. And these guys actually all work in the industry officially as well, too.
Oh, wow, I didn't know
which
that.
is cool, yeah. But they will talk about stuff from the new PS4 and Xbox One all the way down to the latest Android, releases and stuff.
Right.
And just literally they'll get on and they'll be like, oh, so the new Android blah 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 came out. Let's talk about that. And they'll talk about a cell phone game that just came out. Not go huge in depth, and if nobody wants to hear it, but
information.
they'll still mention it at least.
Sure.
So they're very, very informative. Another one is I just started listening to it recently. It's called Lightning and Terra's RPG Roundup.
Ah.
It is just 2 girls talking about gaming, and that's it. I really, really literally all they do is they pick one game and they upload episodes as they finish them, and they just talk about an RPG, and they go talk about each character individually. They talk about the story. They literally go for an hour and a half about just one game and give you so much info. There are a few spoilers in there, but it's just cool to hear. It really gets you excited about games that you may not have heard of before. They've done a few that I haven't played before, and I actually want to just from listening to them. And the last one is the Dice Tower, which isn't a video gaming podcast, but it's a board gaming podcast.
Oh.
It's probably my favorite podcast out of all the ones that I listen to. they actually have a heavy influence on how I designed the show when I first came up with it. They do top 10s every episode, board game related, obviously, but they're Tom Vassell is the guy that hosts it, and if you know anything about board games, you probably have heard the name before. But if you are, even if you're not a board game fan, because most people when they hear board games they think Monopoly and Risk.
Right.
These guys will introduce you to a whole other world that you don't know anything about.
They bring you in.
It's awesome.
There's
it really,
some really
really
awesome
is.
stuff out there.
So yeah, those are the podcasts we listen to.
Nice.
I don't really listen to our own, other than when I edit. To be honest with you, because I'm here.
Yeah, we already talked about it.
And I like when I edit it, it takes me quite a bit longer to listen to it because I have to listen to specific parts over and over and over again to get it right. So I hope I'm doing a good job.
Yeah, absolutely.
But so we also got, I believe your brother.
Yeah, my brother sent in a question.
What was it?
He basically just wanted to know, other than Final Fantasy, because Final Fantasy is if you think of RPG, that's he wanted to know of our favorite RPG series other than Final Fantasy. So it's any series that's not Final Fantasy. I'll go ahead and start, JJ.
I would have to probably say, obviously, I like Final Fantasy. That would be my first choice. But outside of that, I would say probably the Tales series. It's another JRPG series, which is fantastic. There's so many of them. The only reason I would pick that over Star Ocean, because I love Star Ocean as well, is because there are so many more games, and they come out a lot more. They're still going strong. New one comes out the next couple of weeks, too, Tales of Xillia. All the games are very, very similar. They don't really, backtrack and make things worse. They kind of just, it's kind of the Pokemon thing where they just keep improving on the good parts. And I've enjoyed every game more than the last, and they've all been spectacular to me. If you like games that are you go into a battle screen, and then in that battle screen you're doing, it's more like a hack and slash, where you still level up and use spells and all that stuff. That's exactly what it's like. It's an absolute blast. It's great. The humor's good, stories are good, and just a good time. Mark?
Well, this shouldn't shock anyone. My other favorite series would have to be Suikoden.
Or Suikoden, or Suikoden, however you say it.
Right.
You know what we mean.
Yeah.
I would say 1, 2, 3, and 5 were awesome.
4 being the black sheep.
4 was not very good. It was pretty bad.
That's the ocean one, right?
Why did you like them so much?
Each one of them has 108 characters that you have to recruit throughout the series, the course of the game.
You don't have to.
Well, you don't have to.
But why
you end up
wouldn't
recruiting about half of them just based on the story.
Yeah.
But you get a lot of information about each character. When you talk about characters that are well developed, a lot of games, even the main characters, are barely developed. In this game, the most basic character is still way more developed than most characters in games.
I agree, for sure.
And it's also, they're full of political intrigue and betrayal and war and all that good stuff.
I think that's one of the reasons I like the Suikoden series so much, is because it's not just about this big bad monster's coming to destroy the world.
Yeah.
It's like, there's just so much going on. It's amazing. It really, really is. Like, if you like, the storytelling is really intelligent and just very, very complex. And I absolutely love it because of that.
And most of the time, when you find out what the other side is doing, you can kind of see their perspective.
Yep.
And not necessarily disagree with it 100%.
Yeah, for sure. Brian?
I bounce back and forth with this. Obviously, you guys know my favorite games of all times are the Mass Effect series, but I'm going to go ahead and knock that to the side because I don't feel that the Mass Effect series is... It's an RPG, but it's more of a third-person shooter as the second and third game, so I'm actually going to go with the Witcher series.
Good choice.
The reason being is that's it's more of a pure RPG. It's a Western... Well, I can't even say it's a Western RPG. It was made in Sweden, or... Well, it was made in Europe, but...
Were you about to say one of those?
One of those countries.
One of those countries,
It was made in...
One of those small ones.
It was made in Europe, so... I can't say it was Western, but it's got a Western feel to the RPG. It's not JRPG, but yeah, I would say the Witcher series is probably the series that I'm most excited about, other than Final Fantasy. God, I can't wait for the third one.
I still haven't played any of them.
It's such a good series. Just the storytelling, the magic system, everything about that series is absolutely awesome.
Very cool. All right. Well, with that, I think think we're probably going to wrap it up.
Right on.
I just wanted to give a quick shout out to your brother Kyle.
Yep.
For the insight and the info, the feedback that he gave us, and also TRAV02 on iTunes gave us our first review. Really appreciate that. Absolutely.
We like to hear it.
Please,
Bad
by
or
all
good.
means, give us reviews, bad, good, anything. Shoot us an email at frozennorthpodcast@gmail.com. Hit us up on Facebook. I think Mark's got the Twitter.
Yeah, we'll do
going.
something.
You got
with
the
it.
tweets?
We'll do something. I don't know what to do with it because I
We'll
don't
do
use
something.
Twitter.
Are you tweetering,
Well,
Mark?
You could tweet. That's
Yes, I will
Probably a good idea.
retweet some things.
Hey, Mark, did you get on the tweeter totter?
just somebody cut his mic.
We'll send whoever subscribes to us next. We'll send you some exclusive twit pics.
Yes.
Anyways, so yeah, I guess that's about it. Join us again in 2 weeks for episode number 4, where we are going to discuss our top 5 musical scores.
Yes.
I cannot wait. It's going to be sweet.
Musical scores in games.
Our 2 games that we are going to be reviewing for the next episode, we will put up on Facebook. I will announce one here, though. One of them is going to be Borderlands 2. The only reason I'm mentioning it here is because I want to play with some people. So shoot me a message on Facebook, email me, whatever. We'll get some dialogue rolling, and maybe I'll give you my Steam screen name, and we can get a game going. Because I would love to, play this with some people rather than
that's the way to
playing
do it.
through it alone.
I'll fire up a Psycho with you.
Sweet.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm down.
I think on the Facebook page I'm the only JJ as of right now, so it shouldn't be too hard to find me on there. But please shoot me a message, let me know, and we'll get this ball rolling. With that, I guess we'll go ahead and sign off. Again, my name is JJ. Thank you very much for listening. From here at the Frozen North, adios, Mark.
Thanks for listening, guys. I'm not going to tell you what my name is because you just heard that.
Brian.
His name is Mark. Let's just get it out of there. His name is Mark, and he is the source for all the best information you could ever want to.
Yes,
I'm obviously
the only source.
I am the only source. I am Brian. I am a Vigimo game connoisseur, and I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Hope you catch us next time.
I didn't pronounce connoisseur. This song was made available via the Creative Commons Attribution License. The song, Somewhere in the Stars, was written and produced by SoundCloud user _TWC.